Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our regular meeting. Just want to let everyone know that Councillor Buckle is unable to attend this evening due to work commitments, and our CAO is off on a condolence leave. As we know, his father passed away a few days ago, so we certainly want to extend our thoughts and prayers and well wishes to Gary, our CAO, his mother Mary, and all their families during this very difficult time. All right, we will now call the meeting to order. The agenda is there before you. Can I have a motion to approve, please? Moved by Councillor Crawley, seconded by Councillor Bruce King. Further discussion? If not, all those in favour? Those against? Motion is carried. Minutes of the meeting from January 10th. Any errors or omissions? Okay, if not, the table will adopt them as presented. Are there any business arising from the minutes? Okay, if not, we'll move on to the Mayor's update. I have one item here. It's regarding the upcoming operational review and strategic plan update. And over the past several days, and the last couple of weeks actually, we've all heard a lot of residents asking and wondering when the operational review and strategic plan is going to commence, and what the scope of work is, what's involved, who's going to be involved, and the list goes on. So we did meet with Pat Curran, the consultant, who will be working with the committee and council and staff on doing this piece of work. So our committee, the Operational Review and Strategic Plan Committee, would like to present this statement just to clarify to the public exactly when and how this whole process is going to unfold. The Town of Holyrood has engaged Pat Curran and Associates, Incorporated, to conduct a review and prepare a long-term operational and strategic plan that balances providing sustainable and reliable services that meet residents' expectations with the town's financial resources and capacity. Members of the Operational Review Committee met with Pat Curran and Associates, lead consultant Pat Curran, on Thursday evening, February 2nd, 2023, to review the project scope and formally commence the review. The scope of the plan includes an extensive consultation and research program. In the coming days and weeks, the consultant will initiate interviews with key internal stakeholders, including senior management, department heads, and staff, along with external stakeholders among our key partners. Focus group sessions are planned with business, heritage, and seniors, along with the volunteer fire department and others. A public online survey will allow residents and others to provide feedback and input into the review. A public engagement session will be held as well. In addition to the consultation process, the consultant will complete an extensive review of internal documentation, including the town plan and development regulations, town operating policies and procedures, available data on service delivery and service levels, and related information. This, in addition to a jurisdictional scan of 2 to 3 like municipalities and research in best practice service benchmarks, will enable a comparative assessment of the town's service offering and configuration with that of others. Following the consultation and research process, the consultant will transition into detailed operational plan development. As the consultative process begins to roll out in the weeks ahead, residents should keep an eye out on the town's website and Facebook site, along with the shoreline, for notices and information on how you can be engaged. So that is the timelines, when it's going to start, who will be involved, and the process that will unfold. So everybody pretty much in the community will be able to have an opportunity to have their input, express their issues, concerns, ideas, and whatnot. So that's it for Mayor's update. Now we'll move on to correspondence. I do recognize that we have received, I think there's a dozen emails here. So obviously, some of them are extremely lengthy, and you know, for appreciation of time, it would take an extremely long time to read out all these emails in their entirety, and that's certainly understandable. But I just want to say that they are being tabled, they're entered into the public record, and they have been duly noted. Okay? Any questions on that? All right. Now we'll move on to planning and development. Deputy Mayor Woodford.
Good evening, everybody. The Planning and Development Committee, we met on February 1st via Zoom with Councillor Windsor, Krista Turnbull, Marie Searle, acting CAO at the time, and myself in attendance. There were 7 applications reviewed, 6 pieces of correspondence that we received as well that were reviewed, and they were in relation to... Sorry, I'll start again. So the Planning and Development Committee met on February 1st via Zoom with Councillor Windsor, Krista Turnbull, Marie Searle, and myself in attendance. We reviewed 7 applications, 6 pieces of correspondence, which were in relation to discretionary use, ads, land access, and installation of water connection. Of those 7 applications, I believe we have 2 or 3 that we're moving. No, 2 that we're moving towards for motion tonight. An update on the town plan is we did have 2 meetings since our last planning and development meeting, or our last public meeting with the town plan. One was we reviewed the zone, the residential medium density zone, and offered some suggestions back to the town planner with regards to changing that up a little bit. And we also, the last meeting was to look at the land zone use and determine how we're going to move forward with that. So I would imagine that our next meeting will be in a couple of weeks to try to get through that document as quickly and as smoothly as possible. So before I read the motion, Steve, would you like to add anything?
Nothing to add.
Okay.
That's great, Deputy Mayor.
As I said, there's a couple of motions on the table tonight, but there's also a permit listing. So that's our first one. So be it resolved to table and approve the attached permit listing. 6 permits were issued from December 10th, 2022 to February 2nd, 2023, and it includes permits for general repairs and occupancy. So moved.
Okay, moved by Deputy Mayor Woodford, seconded by Councillor Windsor. Further discussion? If not, all those in favour? Contrary minded, motion carried.
The second motion is for 65 to 67 Kennedy's Lane Extension. The proposal is residential. Its zoning is residential medium density. Before the permit is going to be issued, a certified plot plan is going to be required to be submitted by the applicant. On their application as well, it indicated that they wanted a garage, so they would have to submit the application for an accessory building after the fact of this as well. This is just for the actual house. So be it resolved that the Town of Holyrood approve the above application in principle, subject to the town's municipal plan and development regulations. So moved.
Okay, moved by Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Windsor. Further discussion? If not, all those in favour? Contrary minded, motion carried.
The next is at 179 Salmon Line. The proposal is a home-based business office for construction. The zoning is residential medium density. The application received was for a home-based business office for a residential and commercial construction company. This is an established business that's currently operating out of St. John's, and they're looking to relocate to Holyrood. There were 3 pieces of correspondence that were received from the discretionary use ad, that we had in the shoreline. All of the questions that were proposed in those emails were answered. and they are available if council would like to see those letters. But the individuals were just concerned that it was a commercial area. They were concerned about, commercial vehicles, commercial activity, construction activity, but this is not for that. It is just an office in a home where they're keeping, doing their bookwork and things like that. That's what it's for. So, be it resolved that the Town of Holyrood approve the above application in principle, subject to the town's municipal plan and development regulations. So moved.
Okay, moved by Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Windsor. Further discussion?
179. So, I don't know. I don't know where it is on Seminar Line, but I think it's further in.
And I just want to indicate, if I could, while you're dealing with addresses, with the new regulations that's been in place now for the past several years, we are no longer required to give individual names.
No.
Years ago,
No.
you could identify who the application was coming from, and the same applies with correspondence. Names are not to be given out. So that's not our rules.
Civic addresses only.
Yeah.
Civic addresses only, and that's provincial legislation.
I'm not looking for the name, I know.
Yeah. No, I just want to clarify that. Yeah.
Where in Seminar Line are we talking about? Are we close to Transcanada or?
No, I think it's further back. Just past Country Path, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be a good landmark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Between the two.
Okay, any other questions, comments? If not, all those in favor of the motion, please raise your hands. Those against, motion is carried.
And the last motion tonight is for 1 Blue Ocean Drive. The proposal is a counselling service. The zoning is town centre. The application received is for counselling service business to be operated in the existing commercial building, the medical building there at the roundabout. Be it resolved that the Town of Holyrood approve the above application in principle, subject to the town's municipal plan and development regulations. So moved.
Okay, moved by Deputy Mayor Woodford, seconded by, I'm going to let Councillor Crowley second it this
Showing
time.
my support for my colleague.
Yeah.
That's all.
There you go. All right, moved and seconded. Further discussion.
Just want to say that this building was under discretionary use and advertised back when it opened, that medical building. So the business that's going in there is medical related, so we didn't have to go back and do a discretionary use ad.
Thanks for adding that.
Okay.
Okay. All right, any other questions, comments? If not, all those in favor, those against, motion is carried.
And that's it for me, Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much, Deputy Mayor, and we will now move on to recreation and community events. So, Councillor Sadie King, you're up.
The Recreation Committee met on January the 17th, and present were Curtis Buckle, Councillor Buckle, Steve, Marjorie, myself, and Mayor Goody and CAO sent a regards that they couldn't be there. Committee discussed several topics, including funding applications, programming, Crystal Carnival, Salmon Line Recreation Park, and many others. We had Marjorie in attendance because we were concerned with funding. So she informed us that right now they're in the process of applying for students for the summer. She also let us know that the money has been received to make some improvements to the Strack Park, and that work will begin in the spring, as well as the trail around multi-courts that will also begin in the spring. Active for Life began on January the 31st, and this year we had to increase the fees because the operating expenses were more. Mini Movers, we were a little bit delayed getting it started because the leader resigned, and we now have a new leader. So Emily Norman is going to be running Mini Movers. She has done a lot of courses in this, and I think it's February the 18th, possible start date. The flyer is out for the Crystal Carnival, and I think everybody should have it. And if people would just take their time and go through it, there's a lot of interesting events there, as well as some new events. And it's something for young and old alike. And in some of our activities, young and old can participate at the one time. For example, at the Carnival Classic, which is being held on the 25th at Holy Cross Park from 6:30 to 8:30. So there's going to be ice sculpture, music, hot chocolate, face painting, games, fire pits, etc. So that, takes in everybody. We also have the community breakfast, and that takes in old and young alike. And the Crystal Dip, a lot of people are interested in that. So that's all on Sunday the 26th. And also, committee has a student coming on the 18th. Student has worked with us before. And it's a 4-week term at no cost to this town. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Councillor King. Any further discussion on that? Questions, comments? Yeah, I read through the brochure, and it's jam-packed with a lot of events and activities, like Councillor King said, for the whole family, people of all ages to enjoy. And hopefully, fingers and toes crossed that the weather will cooperate, as it looks over the last few days. It's certainly cooperating, and let's keep it going, because we do need some colder weather for the bit of ice and some other snow-related events. So, but anyway, all in all, it's I think it's going to be another great Crystal Carnival. Lots of events planned, and of course, well organised. So, we encourage all the family to come out, participate, and enjoy. All right, we will now move on to infrastructure and public works. So we have Councillor Windsor and Councillor King.
Thank you, Mayor. And I'm a summer person, but I applaud the Recreation Department for the excellent programming that's put in place for the Crystal Carnival, and this is really nice to see. And but I was looking over at Councillor King when the polar dip was mentioned. We're not doing that. I'm going to watch it on TV. That's right.
Now, Councillor Windsor, I did the first one.
No, not going to happen.
First year. So
I
know the feeling, and I would challenge anybody around the table. I will challenge you. And I'll give you a really, really good sponsor, too.
Okay. Not going to happen. For the infrastructure and public works update, I'll try to keep it brief. We met for the first time of the new year, 2023, a couple weeks ago on January 26th. And we adopted a more strategic view, I guess, for our first meeting of the year. A lot of times our committee work gets, very tactical into the weeds, literally, of, specific civic addresses and issues, drainage, and, potholes and pipes and stuff like that. But for the first meeting in the year, we really want to take a step back and talk about our policies and our procedures, right? And some of those will be ongoing work. Some are getting very close to bringing to you guys as a full council to discuss and approve before we implement them for action, right? So the first one of importance, obviously, is snow clearing regulations. We talked about that, and on that, I must, applaud the public works staff for the tremendous work that they do. They're out very early, and they get our roads done. I will again note, as I've done last winter, that our town roads, I find anyway, personally, that they're done quicker than some of the provincial roads are. So well done, everybody, and thank you for the work that you're doing. Asset management policy, we've been talking about that for a while. It was discussed in the budgetary process as well. The many kilometers of 50-year-old pipe that we have in this road, and the intense investment that is going to be required. In the budget, we did not allocate money to the asset management. And it's important to remember that, because we are going to have failures that we will have to address, right? So the Public Works Director has done a great job of documenting and recording and prioritizing by risk the different infrastructure in the town. So it's something that we're going to have separate discussions and meetings on, and we'll be bringing forward a policy, like what are we going to allocate on an annual basis to proactively address this. Otherwise, we will be kicking the can down the road to future councils to have a bigger financial problem on their hands. Okay, that's that policy. We talked about the wood cutting policy. It's something that we're trying to look at doing in a fair and equitable manner for the residents. If and when there's opportunities for a town project to happen and the land needed to be cleared, rather than paying a contractor, go in, machine, do that, you know, in a lottery type of system, interested resident could get their firewood for the winter, right? So we're working on that. There'll be details to follow. It will be appropriate for me to deep dive into it here tonight. Retaining walls we talked about again. For the last year since I've been sworn in, before I was sworn in, is something that was a great concern to me in this town. They are done in a way that is not standardized. There are different ways of doing it, some better, some worse. One area in particular is of great concern at the moment and is with legal. So it's not appropriate for me to deep dive on that particular property location, but we've received correspondence from different residents asking about retaining walls and what we're doing, and we are doing something. And we are trying to establish some engineering standards because they do not currently exist. In answer to the question that particular resident was asking about, we do not have that standard right now, but we're working toward that. Okay. And the last item I'll mention is we're working on a standing offer for emergency support services for water main breaks and things of that nature. And again, in a way that gets the best price for the town in the most responsive and timely fashion possible of top quality, and trying to be equitable to various contractors that are in the area and qualified to do the work. And what we've been talking about is some sort of a rotational call-out basis, right? So more to come on that. That is the update from me. No motions. Do you have any questions?
A lot of work.
Lots of good work ongoing by all. Thank you.
Okay, any questions, Councillor King?
It's not a question. It's with regards to the wood cutting.
Yep.
And we did it both here and in New Brunswick on D&D property. And what we did, the exact same thing, a lottery system. The area was cut into squares, and there was conditions. For example, when you cut, you had to make sure all the brush was cleared off to a pile, and with regards to when you cut your legs off with your chainsaw, you're not going to hold
Liabilities at risk.
D&D property.
Yep.
But
We addressed that.
It works very well, and everybody was quite happy with it. So if we put something like that in place, I think you will find that you will receive a very positive response.
That's awesome feedback, Councillor King, and perhaps what I'll say, when we have a draft ready, because you have experience with it, like you have a peer review of it. Yeah, okay.
So I would just add that if somebody wins the lottery, say, for a certain parcel of land, if it's a big parcel of land, well, then it will be determined it could be 2 or 3 individuals, right? I mean, we're not going to have one person go in and take out 50 cords of wood when we know that
It
could...
becomes commercial then, it's not for their own use, right?
Yeah, right? But anybody who are successful, say, in getting 2 or 3 cords of wood, well, then their name will go at the bottom then, until everybody else has an opportunity. So rather than being thrown back in the hat for the lottery, they could come out and get it the second time. So, you know, in discussing this at the last Public Works meeting, we said, okay, we want to do this as fair as possible, because wood today is as precious as gold and oil and water, you know? And it's not everywhere where people has access to wood, and it certainly helps the town as well, because it frees up our public works in doing other things rather than have to clear out an area, you know, that we want to open up for a particular development, whether it's up on the recreational, you know, area. It's, you know, so there's a lot of benefits to it, and there'll be a lot of people happy that they can get supply of wood. So, okay, all good. Now we'll move on to business development and marketing. I just have one item here, and got a script here to make sure that it's well explained. We have been contacted by a Mun student who is completing a course at Grenfell College. His course is called Sustainable Rural Community, and the course requires a major project where the student works with a rural community to develop a project with the potential for implementation for the community. He is very interested in the ocean opportunity in Holyrood and has asked for the opportunity to work with the town on identifying a real project which could help in the economic activity within the town. He has researched the OHI, the Oceans Holyrood Initiative website, and feels he could be of benefit to the town. It's a non-paying work term and would be 4 months, so it's not going to cost the town any money whatsoever. The Director of Business Development and Marketing has met with him on his request, and the committee reviewed the possibility and believes it could have benefits for us to accept the student as a work-term student. His name is Dale Isaiah Lewis. He is from New West Valley and resides in St. John's while attending post-secondary. So the course description: this course is an independent course that is self-guided by students, supported by an academic supervisor and identified community partner. Regular meetings between student, supervisor, and community partners, if desired, will be determined at the start of the course to ensure course deliverables and milestones are achieved in a timely manner. SURC 3800 is a capstone course in which students work on an independent project with the faculty supervisor. This can be facilitated either remotely or in person, depending on the student. SURC 3800 is intended to connect theory with a practical component through a major project which will be developed through collaboration with the community partner. The course will apply the students' understanding of the concepts of sustainability, communities, and the rural that has been developed through electives and SURC 1800. Final reports from each project will allow students already in a professional setting and students exploring partnerships to design a project with potential for implementation with the partner organization of their choice. So, pretty impressive. So it's basically a student that's going to come in, is going to be involved with, I would say, through OHI, and I would say they'll connect with the Marine Institute, and then he'll work on his piece of work. Deputy Mayor, anything further to add? Good? Okay. All right. Any other questions, comments?
I think that, having students come in is a great experience for them, great experience for us as well, in teaching and for them learning and expanding on what we do here, because it's quite vast. So, and the sustainability piece, Holyrood is known for its sustainability piece, so went hand in hand.
Good connection there.
Good connection.
Okay, good stuff. Okay, that's it for business development and marketing. There's many items. We had a meeting on yesterday. Lots of items ongoing, lots of projects and different initiatives, but they're all ongoing, and certainly it's premature to release any of that at this particular time. Okay, now we'll move on to public safety. Councillor Bruce King.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, fellow councillors, staff, residents listening at home, and also the residents here tonight with us in the chamber. We had our first public safety meeting of 2023. We had it on the 24th of January. Those in attendance was the mayor, the CAO, Mr. Corbett, the fire chief, Chief Woodford, Councillor Buckle, and myself. Some of the points that we discussed, the first one being the fire hall, and we still have issues with the fire hall with regards to the roof is still leaking, electrical needs to be sorted out, there's no insulation in the ceiling, and we're spending a lot more money probably on energy than we really need to. So the chief is going to look at that and to make sure that if there's any way that we can fix it and try to get it all repaired, he's going to look into it. We talked about the Central Avalon Ground Search and Rescue, and incorporated with that was also going to be with the RCMP auxiliary, and hopefully on our next public safety meeting in February, it is the intent to invite these two organizations along to the meeting and see what those two different organizations can bring to the table. And hopefully down the road, if we have some kind of a, either whether it be a tabletop exercise or an actually physical exercise, we'll see if there's any way we can incorporate their expertise into the exercise as well. So there'll be more to follow on that one. We talked about climate change. One of the biggest enemies, I guess, of infrastructure and communities today is the changing weather. We don't have to look very far. Just watch CNN today or watch the news. The earthquake in Turkey and in Syria, I think, is over 6,500 people now and climbing. You know, we can look at what happened out in Port-au-Basque and the southern shore and all those places. So it is coming, and the key to it all is to be prepared and have have money set aside to fix infrastructure, especially if it's something catastrophic like happened in Port-au-Basque, where the entire water main system, the entire sewer system was completely hauled out of the ground. So you basically have to go right back to square one. Okay. We talked about emergency preparedness. We are going to sit down and try to condense it into a readable document, into different sections, as opposed to trying to open up the phone book. We're going to have it put into different binders where you can, depending on what the situation is, you'll be able to take out the binder, look at it, and be able to react to it, as opposed to trying to spend half your time digging through papers. Okay. There was mention with regards to the sidewalks up around the roundabout. Those are the responsibilities of Transportation and Works, and they're not the responsibility of the town. Okay.
And if I could interject, we have been reminded on a couple of occasions by the Department of Transportation, do not intervene in doing this work. If we do that and something were to happen, then the town could be held liable. So they've made it unequivocally clear, do not do their work.
Yep.
So our hands are tied, as much as we would like to do these things to help. You know, even now, like yesterday, potholes and everything, but our hands are tied.
A good gesture could come back to haunt you, basically what it is.
Yeah.
Right?
Sorry for that, Councillor
Yep.
King.
Nope. One of the other ones we talked about that's a refrain, especially with me, is regionalization, right? And I know when some people hear it, their hackles go up on the back of their head and stuff like that. But, you know, it's something that we really need to look at, and using fire and emergency services as an example. And I don't believe, and I know Holyrood has been trying to push this, as the mayor has said on numerous occasions. But I also think that outside of Holyrood, I don't think something like regionalization should be held up because 2 or 3 different people don't like the idea. I think one of the things that municipal affairs could do is put out a survey and bypass all these different people that are steadfast against it, and put it out there from Holyrood, say for example, to Colliers, and ask the residents what they think, right? You know, would they support, you know, a 24/7 centralized fire service, for example? And I think people would look at that, and I would think that they would probably accept something like that as being a good idea, right? And maybe we could, like I said before, maybe we could sell off those 20 extra fire trucks that are setting in fire halls from here to Colliers, and probably most of them very seldom ever leave the fire hall, right? So that's something we need to look at as well. The rescue vehicle update, we're still beating on the doors of municipal affairs, trying to figure out where this rescue vehicle is, but as of now, there's still no response. We talked about a designated warming
site. I know it was mentioned in CBS there a couple of weeks ago when the power went. And the fire hall for here will be the designated warming area in the event that we require that kind of a service. The other points that came up, and these have to do with social media and criticizing the fire department, right? I mean, they want to criticize us, that's fine, right? I mean, if you're not going to hurt, I'm only going to speak from myself, you're not going to hurt my feelings, right? When I joined the military, the first thing they asked me for was your feelings. And I don't think they ever did give them back. So you're not going to hurt my feelings. But I don't like when somebody says stuff about the fire department, and especially more so when it's not true, right? So it needs to be corrected. And these people that are down there are very highly qualified, right? They're not, and you know, you talk about, well, why do we have all these people? Why do it cost so much? Well, Councillor Windsor, for example. Councillor Windsor is an engineer. He never started off day one qualified as an engineer as he is today. Same as the mayor. The mayor retired as a captain in the fire service, but he didn't join as a captain. Okay, so in order for you to be able to do these things, you have to train. And in order for you to train, it's costing money, right? So when you talk about the fire department, well, you know, these people are very highly trained, right? And I mean, they are level 1 firefighters, they're paramedics, I would venture to guess that if you put the Holyrood Fire Department up against any fire service on the island of comparable size, I think they would probably beat them hands down, right? There's no doubt. And you talk about, well, why do you need people, all these people? Well, you need these people because of safety, right? They talked about, well, what happens if the fire truck goes to Deer Park, for example? The fire chief that we have is very, very competent. He is not going to send all the fire services to Deer Park and leave Holyrood unprotected. If he sends a truck to Deer Park, as an example, there is a fire truck left in Holyrood and a crew to respond to any type of emergencies. And that's a fact. You know, they talked about Nalcor. Yes, we have an agreement with Nalcor, and yes, Nalcor pays for 2 firefighters. They do excellent training with Nalcor. All the information and the feedback that has come back from Nalcor has been absolutely nothing but positive, right? They are highly trained, they're highly professional, and everything that they do out there gets an absolute A+ and higher. So there is no question about why the hell are they out there. Well, they're out there because they're qualified to be out there, and they provide a very important service. Okay? They talked about training. Well, and it's perfect this time, because if you look at the shoreline that came out Friday past, I think it was, there's a picture on the front page. Yes. One of those people on the picture is a firefighter in the town of Holyrood. He's the same person that saved a man's life at the arena. He's also the same person that got all that qualification from the Holyrood Fire Department. Right? So, I mean, there's a prime example. This is not me making it up or anybody else. This is fact, right? So, I mean, so when you say stuff like that, it needs to be rebuffed, and the truth needs to come out. So the bottom line is we have a very highly qualified fire department, and you know, it's the same as a fire truck. Well, if you take a fire truck in to get serviced, it's not like your F-150, right? It's a specialized piece of equipment, and it's going to cost a lot more to get it fixed, or it's going to cost a lot more to be at service. And the other thing is, do you want something down there that when you turn the key, that you're going out to a moose vehicle collision on the TCH, and all you hear is this clicky, clicky sound, what you normally get out of an F-150, right? Right? I got an F-150, by the way, right? Right? So that's the reason. So all of these things, the training and the maintenance, cost money. The other one that came up was with regards to Canada Post. And I mentioned it to the Public Works Director. And if people go, for example, the the post office down there by Murray's Peak. If you go there and it's icy, all you have to do is call the post office here, and the post office here will contact the contractor and have that area. And it doesn't matter if it's Murray's Peak, anywhere where all these satellite mailboxes are, they will come and they will salt and sand and whatever. And my last point is, it's with regards to safety as well, but on the ice. It's fishing season just started, and people are out on snowmobiles. Actually, if you looked at the VOCM news the other day, there was a man lost his life on a snowmobile. I went to school with his father. Okay? And just as a point, Saturday afternoon, he was a pallbearer for his aunt. He lost his life Sunday afternoon when his snowmobile went through the ice. Okay? So people need to be careful. Yes, we had a lot of cold temperatures. We also had a lot of warm temperatures. So people need to be aware of the fact. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, sir. And if I could just elaborate a little further on the incident that happened at the stadium back in the fall. And we recognized that during the firefighters' ball just before Christmas. And I shared the story because I was interviewed. I interviewed the firefighter that was directly involved. And I took notes of it. And I tell you, he just, when he knew that his body went down, you know, on the, behind the boards, it was in the box. And he knew there was something wrong, and he was quick to respond. Now, all this happened within literally minutes. And I know, after working in the fire service for 28 years, you know, if you can't apply the proper treatment, like defibrillator and initiate CPR, then you literally have minutes or it's game over. And from what I heard after, the hospital said that if he did not act as quick as he did, call for the defibrillator, I think he did go get the defibrillator, he put the pads on, and they initiated the whole process, then that young fellow would not have survived. He had 4 or 5 blockages, and he had the big one. So the most touching part of this whole story here, and it wasn't just Firefighter Maloney, Fire Lieutenant Maloney, it was a team of paramedics and his other buddies and everything. So it was a collective effort here, and everybody was helping out. But Fire Lieutenant Maloney led the way in starting this so quick, this whole process. Because I've seen it so many times, when this stuff happens, people freeze and they don't know what to do. They don't know what to do. But the emotional side of this is when he told me, and he was emotional when he told me. He said, when his buddy showed up during Christmas with his family at his door, they gave that man back his life. Now, and just going back to what you said, Councillor King, I can take a lot on the chin. I got, well, not literally broad, but I got broad shoulders. And that's why we're here as a council. We take the good, the bad, and the ugly. We make tough decisions when the tough decisions have to be made, which we just had to do. But the buck stops when they starts picking on our local fire department. That's down in the gutter. That is down in the gutter. And I've received emails from people that were trying to microanalyze and ask more questions about the operation of the fire department. And they are a dedicated team that are just can't get enough training. As Councillor King said, they're all in NFPA, National Fire Protection Association, that's recognized by the Oklahoma State University, and they have their seals. And a lot of them now are level 1s, and most of them are level 2s. Their level of training is way beyond the requirements. They can do offensive and defensive firefighting. They're doing this on their own time. When they have to leave on Thursday evening and go up and do training in these elements, the weather doesn't stop them. Men and women totally dedicated to the community, not self-serving for them. They're there for everybody else. And I was associated with that. I was a career firefighter, as you know, for 28 years, but I served with the volunteer fire department, which was my stepping stone, because I obtained the training that qualified me to apply at another level in St. John's. So like I said, everything that's been going on now with the budget and everything else, I understand, we understand people's frustration. We understand, we get it loud and clear. We expected this. We expected this, but this is why we're here. We're not here to make politically popular decisions. We're here to make the right decisions and responsible decisions to keep this town functioning in a safe, reliable, and effective manner. But let me assure everybody, you don't go near the fire department. Leave them out of it. Because that is not fair game. Any other criticism, fire it my way. Fire it our way. We will deal with it. We will address it as we're doing now with all of these letters that came in this evening. We will deal with it. And we're trying to deal with it. And I tell you, it's difficult on council. It's difficult on our families. Very difficult. We have councillors around this table with small children and teenagers who can see it in the councillors' eyes. They can see it, that they're being affected by it. That's just something to think about. That's something for everybody to think about. We're here for the common good of this community. I'm here 23 years, giving my heart and soul to this town. Councillor Sadie King is in there, 26 years, giving her heart and soul to this community. We're not here for ourselves. We're here to do what's right and to make our community a community that people can feel proud of. And we had to spend literally millions of dollars over the past several years to upgrade the facilities and the infrastructure in this town that was falling down around us. Go up to Holy Cross Park. Beautiful facility. They're coming there in the thousands in the summertime. Go over on the boardwalk. I've spoke to people there from everywhere, all over the world this summer. Beautiful. They love it. What was it like before? You had to straddle around broken boards. We had to close down George Cobb Mountain because it was rotted. And the list goes on and on and on. So, we had to invest millions. So when it's called into question about our loans and all of this kind of stuff, yeah, we'll justify it. No problem. No problem at all. It's not for ourselves. It's not for ourselves. It's investing money back into our community. And we're also, at the same time, while trying to improve our infrastructure and facilities, we're also trying to plan forward. We have a new soccer field up there. For years, residents have been after the town. Do something about that bog. Because one of the previous councillors said it's not nice when you leave there with soggy socks. And we invested in that. And it's proving that it's going to be a very successful facility for people of all ages to enjoy. When dad can take a son, or mom can take a son or a daughter, and go up for a couple of hours up to the soccer field in the summer and enjoy it. Physical activity. This is what we're trying to promote here. And this is where we're investing money for the betterment of our town. So I didn't mean to belabor this, but I'm speaking on behalf of everybody. Yes, feel free to express your concerns. That's why we're here. Feel free. That's why we're here. But there's a way of expressing that. And some of the emails have been very harsh, hurtful, and it affects everybody. And when I heard it from a councillor, when her son, a teenage son, said, "Mom, are you okay?" Think about it. And I ask everybody to think about that. And times will get better. We will pay down our debt. We will pay down our debt. This is an unprecedented year, as we all know. We did not want to make that tough decision. We did not want to do it. We tried everything reasonably possible to avoid it. But we, like Councillor Sadie King said, we stretched this so far that the elastic band was ready to bust. And when it do, that means now that you're compromising the quality and level of services for our residents. And when that plow don't show up, when you're waiting to go to work at 7 o'clock in the morning, and no plow on the road, and you can't get out, you're going to question that. You're going to question that. And where was it to? It was in the garage. Why? Oh, because the blade is gone. Should have been replaced. You know? So I didn't mean to belabor this, folks. This is just off the cuff. But I'm going to go back to it. Be fair about it. Just be fair. Be fair. That's all we're asking. And leave the fire department alone, and leave the volunteers out of this. And I'll leave it at that. All right, we'll now move on to communications.
Which you kind of covered what I was getting ready to say as well, Mr. Mayor. We met as Communications Committee in January, and it was Councillor Sadie King and Deputy Mayor Woodford, myself, and Director Marjorie Gibbons. And we started piecing through the communications that were coming in. And to kind of back you up on that, there are very valid emails coming in with valid concerns and voicing opinions. Again, respectful and properly communicated through the proper channels. However, we are also getting these emails with questions that can easily be answered if people are watching the public meetings or coming to the public meetings. We are being asked to host a public meeting. We have a public meeting every 4 weeks. Everyone is welcome to come in to this public meeting every 4 weeks. You know, questioning the spending, we saw emails that, or correspondence that says, I've been here for 15 years, I've been here for 12 years, I've been here for 20 years, and I haven't seen services improve. If you haven't seen services and the town improve in 15 to 20 years, you're not living in this town. There's some disjoint there for sure. Because now again, I don't need to revamp what you just said, Mayor, but services have been improved. Facilities have improved. Okay, yeah, we don't have a multi-million-dollar facility. We don't have an ice rink, indoor ice rink, which the town would never be able to afford. So in one statement, within one correspondence, we say, stop raising the taxes, and how come you don't provide services? I mean, if you read the correspondence, it's not logical what's on there. Like I said, that's not everyone. Some are very valid, just expressing concern, expressing their disappointment in the raising of the mill rate. And of course, the assessments, some of the assessments went up as well. So we discussed this as a committee, and most of it was forwarded on then to Councillor King and I, the CSA committee, in which we're working through. But from a communication perspective, there were some valid questions, valid concerns, and we opted to send out a circular. So there will be a flyer coming out in the mail that explains the process that we went through for Budget 2023, the breakdown of projects that have been completed, the breakdown of projects that have been approved, cost share projects, our portion of the cost share projects, which again, in some correspondence was, how come you're not fixing the boardwalk? And the next correspondence came in, how come we're putting money into the boardwalk? Whoops, I'm passionate too, sir. So it's up and down. It's where your priorities lay. You know, there's someone who might never take advantage of the swim park and others who are only out there for the swim park. So we have to we're elected here to take all opinions and look at the entire town, all ages, and commit to that. So the circular's going out. So for those of you residents who have questions, hopefully they'll be answered. And I strongly, strongly advise you to watch the public meetings or come in to the public meetings and to look for the answers to some of those questions because we've already answered them. Previous meetings, we've answered them on our webpage, we've answered them in our circulars, we've answered them in the information coming out, and now this circular, this new budget circular that's coming out. If there's anything else that's considered, or you're asking and it's not out there, well, you can go through the ATIPA process. Because if we're not putting it out there, then it's probably linked to someone's name or it's a privacy concern, and it can go through ATIPA process, and everyone's welcome to it. So that's where we left off with communication. That circular should be out soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Crawley. Any questions or comments? No? Okay, we will move on to the operation review, and I covered that off unless Councillor Windsor or Councillor King wants to speak further.
Thank you, Mayor. So on behalf of the Operation Review Committee that I'm leading, not appropriate for me to repeat. I don't think you had a very good update, a statement at the beginning of the meeting during your mayor's update, how we kicked off the work. A couple comments I will interject, if I may. One is that it is very serious, important work to be done. And two, I was asked how long it would take. And, that was a discussion with the consultant himself. And our response as a committee was however long it takes to get it right.
Exactly.
So that's all I had to say on that. And we'll stay tuned. There will be forthcoming communications on the subject. And everyone can get involved, and we'll go from there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Windsor. Councillor King, did you want to add anything?
I'm good.
Good. All right, we will now move on to Corporate Service and Administration, and Councillor Crowley, you can pay the bills.
Some of them, if I'm allowed, please. So we met as Corporate Services and Administration on February 2nd, 2023, and in attendance was myself, Councillor Bruce King, Mayor Gary Gooby, and Director of Finance Marie Searle. CAO Gary Corbett sent his regrets. And we again discussed the budget letters. We are making our way down through the process. We will respond as appropriate, but again, look for the flyer. And we were bombarded, to say the least, with information and questions and emails and things like that. And it's very frustrating when you are getting questions about the fire department and about different pieces. Anyway, all I can say is the information's forthcoming. We also have our policy and procedures, which has been into the hands of every councillor now. And the deadline for response and feedback on that would be February 14th. And we would like every councillor to review, and we're looking really forward to adopting that new policy and procedures, because we haven't had one since 1980s, but only amendments. And I think, Councillor King, we're pretty proud of that piece of work, because that took a lot of work. We also, Municipal Conduct Act. We have 2 motions tonight to go forward to adopt the Code of Conduct as it was presented from Municipal Affairs. And a copy was sent to all councillors to review, and hopefully we'll adopt that. And then once it's adopted, we have 3 months for every person in this building, every staff, every councillor, remember, to be trained on that Code of Conduct. Again, so another question that was asked to us. Do we have a Code of Conduct? Yes, we do. It will be, a new one will be adopted tonight, and everyone will be trained on it. The next thing was we're meeting with Heritage, which is exciting. Yep. So that's been
and I've
forthcoming.
I've already passed it on to him, and as it stands right now, Linda will be here and her
Group
vice president.
Okay.
I told her if she decides to bring any more people, then just let me know so we can make arrangements to.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah, but
So
we're
yeah,
good to go.
that is fantastic. So I don't know if there's anything else that you wanted to.
Nope, I think you covered everything.
Okay, and we'll be ready to, as Mayor Gooby said, pay the bills. So be it resolved that those accounts tabled in the amount of $284,651.08 That would be check number 44098 to 44222 and D3019 to D3098 be approved for payment from the general account. So moved.
Moved by Councillor Crawley. Could I have a seconder, please? Seconded by Councillor King. Further discussion? If not, all those in favour, those against, motion is carried.
Okay. Update on our bank book balance is $3,516.09. Just as a little side note too, for the property tax, I don't know if when everyone was opening it, there's an option now to pay online, and you can use Visa. However, if there is a Visa payment, then the 2.3% will be applied, as we are charged that, and we don't want to charge it back to the residents as whole. So we are putting that 2.3% on Visa payments. So the next final one is the motion for code for conduct. Be it resolved that the Town of Holyrood approve and adopt the code of conduct for councillors in its entirety as prepared by Municipal Affairs to satisfy the requirements of the Municipal Conduct Act and regulations. Council members are expected to conduct themselves ethically and professionally and in accordance with this code of conduct. So moved.
Okay, moved by Councillor Crawley, seconded by Deputy Mayor. Further discussion?
Again, everyone has that now. Everyone has a copy, and there were no reviews, errors, omissions noted.
Good. All right. All right. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Those against, motion is carried.
Okay. And be it resolved, the Town of Holyrood approve and adopt the code of conduct for municipal officials in its entirety as prepared by Municipal Affairs to satisfy the requirements of the Municipal Conduct Act and regulations. Municipal officials are expected to conduct themselves ethically and professionally and in accordance with this code of conduct. So moved.
Moved by Councillor Crawley, seconded by Councillor Sadie King. Further discussion? If not, all those in favour, count your mind. Motion is carried.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. All right, that's the agenda, and now we're into new business, so I'll do the go-around, starting with Deputy Mayor Woodford.
Nothing for me today.
You're good. Councillor King?
I just have one point, and this not going to take very long. If you remember, before Christmas, I put forward a suggestion with regards to 91 field construction engineer flight from the Canadian Forces base in Gander to come in and do some work for us. So just a little background. They are an organization of tradespeople, carpenters, electricians, plumbers, all these different technical services. And as part of their reach out to communities, they do work for communities at no cost to the community. The community provides the materials, and the unit comes in and does all the work. You know, you would probably have to provide like accommodations and meals and stuff like that, but overall, there's no cost with regards to labor. The suggestion was put forward before Christmas that they would come in and do the upstairs of the museum and get that portion done. And also, there was a very good possibility that they would also do the required repairs to the fire hall. Anyway, the union, and I have nothing against collective agreements or unions or anything else like that, first of all. The union had a meeting about it, and they decided that they did not want to accept free labor, I guess if you want to call it, want of a better word. But there's a couple of things in it that need to be corrected. And one of the things that they said, they didn't agree on hiring non-union people. Well, they weren't being hired; they were volunteers. So they're not union. They do this on a regular basis. The project. One of the other things was the project had already been started by the people here. Part two of that is it was started last March and April, but it hasn't been touched since. Okay, so it's still in slings. Okay. So anyway, they went on about hiring people back, but the whole idea of this
was to try to save money and get it done. Because now, when the time comes to get this done, and if we got to get a plumber, for example, or we got to get an electrician, we got to go out and contract these different trades. If these people would have come in and done it, right, they could have done all the electrical work, they could have done all the plumbing, they could have done all the stuff required for the fire hall, and they could have done it at no cost. We had made arrangements that they would stay in the training room at the fire hall. Some of the businesses here in the community were going to be solicited with regards to, the drop-off meals and stuff like that. So the whole idea was to try to get it done and at minimum cost to the town and get everything up and functioning. So in the end, anyway, it's not going to happen. It would have been a win for the fire department because the fire department would have got the stuff that they would have required. It would have been a win for the museum because they would have got the upstairs done and they would have been able to rent those rooms out and create or generate revenue. It would have been a win for the public works people because they could have done other jobs that are a higher priority than the museum, right? And the biggest winners, of course, they would have been the taxpayers because now they wouldn't have to pay to have all these different things done. So overall, everybody would have won. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor King. Councillor Crawley.
Just a couple of things. I'm really looking forward to Crystal Carnival and invite everyone to get out and hopefully enjoy. Lots of fun events planned and I'm looking forward to it. Teacher and Counselor Appreciation Week is happening right now. School Counselor Week this week and Teacher Appreciation Week next week. And I'd like to send our positive energy and thoughts to those in Turkey and Syria who had a death-defying earthquake, and it's very devastating. And I'm sure there's lots of people in Newfoundland. They have lots of family here who are concerned and waiting to hear from loved ones. So our thoughts and prayers are with you.
Thank you very much. Councillor King.
Yeah, I got a question for Councillor King. You just said that, you want this out? That there would be a possibility of hiring out the rooms upstairs at the Heritage Place. What happened to the seniors' room?
I have no idea.
That was supposed to be a seniors' room that was being done there.
Maybe it was for the seniors, but I know right now it's nothing being done.
No, I know there's nothing being done. But
I know
my
there was rooms up
understanding,
there that they were planning on renting out with regards to whatever kind of different events like painting. I know people were interested in using it for painting. People were interested in using it for fly tying. People were interested in using it for other different things. So anyway, as it stands right now, the seniors are not going to get to use it, and neither is anybody else.
Okay, I think rather than getting to a discussion on this right now, I mean, the details of all of this, I'm sure, can be worked out when we do meet with Heritage and see if we can find a way forward in getting this stuff done. Okay?
Okay.
Any other questions?
No, that's all.
Okay. Councillor Windsor, you can wrap it up.
Nothing here, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay. All right, that is the agenda. Date of the next meeting is March the 7th at 5:30 p.m. Can I have a motion to adjourn, please? Moved by the Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Crowley. Further discussion? All those in favour? Those against? Meeting is adjourned. Thank you all very much.